Mostly focused on the entire field here because, as we saw in race 2, just simple brain explosions and the whole place goes mad. Air temperature 18 degrees outside. The weather is changing though. It'll be getting cooler as the afternoon goes on. It is a question of tyres. Who's got the best ones left? It's a question of whether Mark Skaife can work his way up through the field and maybe keep that incredible streak alive. There he is, car number 1. He's wasted no time.
Look, he's alongside Lowndes. They're 3 wide as they come through the first turn. Craig Lowndes on his outside. Stephen Ellery in there too. Todd Kelly, he had to make an engine change after race 2. So all these quality cars are starting off the back. You get the impression they're going to come in pretty early, I'd say, and try and leapfrog the field. They don't really have a choice because there's an awful lot of traffic ahead of them.
Pit window opens on lap 2, closes on lap 30, and like you've seen all weekend, they'll throw the dice. We understand that Mark Skaife is going to come in early, so we'll keep our eyes on him for you. That's a good battle right there, Skaife and Lowndes. There's Todd Kelly.
Looking out the back of Craig Lowndes' car, here he is. Again, a weekend so full of promise ended in disaster for Double O Motorsport when Todd Kelly turned him around, and that looks like, I'm not sure if that door's not closed properly, but that window frame certainly flexing in the breeze onside the Double O Motorsport Falcon. Look at the amount of traffic here on pit straight. So the next time they come round, they will be able to peel off into pit lane to do their compulsory stops. The pit window now is open. Mark Skaife trying to make as much ground up as he can before he comes in for that compulsory stop. You're on board with the reigning champ. Up behind the Pertec Falcon of Marcus Ambrose. Another driver in trouble in race 2 with a power steering failure. Managed to finish the race with no power steering. So he's certainly given his arms a workout here. Great shot as they come down toward Cold Corner. Skaife has no choice but to sit in the queue at the moment. There's a lot of quality cars around him. Very fast machinery. The topsy-turvy roll of fortunes here has really turned the grid upside down. There's a lot of good cars at the wrong end of the field.
He's already moved up 5 positions. That's Marcus Ambrose in front of Mark Skaife. Here they come into turn 7. Problems for John Bowe. Understand that Neil Crompton might have been tangled up in that as well. That'd be a bad situation for Crompton if he does find himself on the wrong side of the race officials, because he's had an electrifying start.
We're just going to have to be careful on the exit here.
Oh,
we might
that's
get
close.
stopped, but we'll just make that call.
Here comes Mark Skaife. Coming with a whole bunch of cars. He's got to go right down to the end of pit lane to reach the HRT bay. Here he comes. Crew's waiting and ready. Shell Helix pit stop clock tells the story. This crew well drilled. Kmart's been the fastest though. We saw a sub 7-second stop in race 2. 7.7. So that's a second faster than they managed yesterday on the number 1 car. Skaife gets back into action. Well, what's going to happen here? Pretty confident the Holden Racing team has a good set of tyres to put onto the car. You'd want it if you're coming in that early on a 42-lap race around Barbagallo Raceway.
Back to turn 7, and John Bowe gets around. So that is Neil Crompton behind him. Don't know if he was involved in it or not, but John Bowe manages to get out of that with not too much damage. Rusty?
Sounds like John Bowe has been on the radio to the team, and he sounds a little annoyed at Neil Crompton at the moment. He said, I gave him the signal that I was pitting this time round. So it'll be interesting to see just what comes of that. Also, too, from the Double O Motorsport camp, a possible drive-through penalty coming, I would think, for car 7, Rodney Forbes. A pit infringement, the wheel nut rolled into the fast lane during Rodney's stop.
Could have a broken Watts linkage or something failed in the rear suspension of the Team Brock Commodore, and Mark Larkham has buried the Orcon Ford.
And Tony Longhurst follows him through as well. So that's a turn 6 Cold Corner. That's the one where we saw Anthony Track go off in race 2 and Skaife as well. So maybe Larkham left something behind that Longhurst found on his way through. And Greg Murphy,
race leader. Boy, oh boy, it's turning upside down. There goes Neil Crompton to go through to the lead of the race. Murphy chooses to come in and get his compulsory stop out of the way, but look at the amount of dirt and sand in those air intakes.
And there's Craig Lowndes, so there's definitely oil down there at turn 7. That's on the way into pit lane entry. You can see that Lowndes gets on his way in there too, so definitely Lowndes slots it in the hole there at pit lane, and let's just check his pit stop time. 7.7 seconds for Mark Skaife. Confirmation that oil's all over the track down at turn 7. That's a dangerous spot, Nova's corner. They're taking their time here, way too much time.
What we're hearing is that there are problems. Also,
there you go,
for
Stephen
Richards. So there's a massive amount of oil. I believe that was from the Team Brock Commodore. That's smoke pouring from the back of the car. We were first told it was the tyres rubbing on the guards, but apparently there's been a major mechanical failure. He's dumped a ton of oil, and it's catching out an awful lot of cars. Look how long Craig Lowndes has been in pit lane as they try and get all the dirt and garbage out of those air intakes. He's apologised to the crew for the mistake. So this has not been a good weekend. Once we always say it, Matty, potential unfulfilled with Double A Motorsport. We've seen it a number of rounds now where Lowndes has had a lot of speed. Things have always gone wrong.
It's not a matter of whether the door's open in front of you. It's a matter of how you get into it and how far you walk into it. Now, this is Greg Murphy at turn 1. You saw so many guys do this in qualifying. Look at that. You can just imagine the amount of dirt that's going up through into the radiator after that big
Well, you can see the way the wheel just was not responding to his input. He was on the oil then, and same fate befell Craig Lowndes. So I think it was the Team Brock Commodore that dumped all that slippery stuff on the bitumen, and it's caught out some of the lead competitors.
We saw a yellow flag over there as they came over the top of the hill as we go back on board the 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon of 28-year-old Craig Lowndes. Celebrated his birthday last week, but right now he's doing it tough. Todd Kelly has pitted. So too is Russell Ingall, Rodney Forbes and Stephen Richards. In a blink of an eyelid, this place can turn your whole weekend upside down. It did it in race 2. It appears to be doing it already in race 3. You're watching the VB 300 at Barbagallo Raceway on Network 10. Come back and join us. We'll find out who'll take out round 6 later on in the afternoon. Well, there's no question that this has been a remarkable, extraordinary weekend already, and it just continues to become more and more challenging, more and more confusing, harder to stay on the track as we go back and see what started all this problem. Greg Murphy in the Kmart Commodore, car number 51, our winner of race 2, ends up in the ditch, but managed to get out of it. Stephen Richards at the other end of the straight at turn 7 also goes off as well. And some oil left down by Craig Baird in the Team Brock Commodore was the problem for all of that. And also Anthony Tratt, it's a big lockup coming down the hill and shoots straight off as well. He's not alone out there on the beach. There have been plenty before him and probably plenty more still to come. So we're under safety car conditions under here, and the Monroe safety car has managed to get it right. While we've been in the break, there's been plenty of confusion. We've actually seen a number of cars get called through while they picked up the right race leader, and Bright is the right man for the job, but it took them a while to get it done. And I can tell you that up and down pit lane, there's anger, confusion, and a little bit of disillusionment from all corners. It was actually the Stone Brothers racing guys who corrected the race officials and made sure that Jason Bright was up there, not David Bernard. So some teamwork gets us back underway. So we're ready to race once more. Jason Bright, there's Tratt and Wheel, David Bernard. Race 3 continues under a restart. 26 laps to go. And some problems back there for one of the better electrical cars.
Okay, so the order at the moment is Jason Bright, David Bernard in 2nd, Neil Crompton in 3rd, Greg Murphy in 4th, Brad Jones in 5th, Paul Morris, Mark Scape up to 7th, Todd Kelly in 8th, Jason Barkwater in 9th, and Cam McConville in 10th. It's been a confusing few moments on the track, but that's the way the NatSoft Dorian system is showing us on the official timing screen, and that's what we're going with. There's David Bernard in 2nd. There's Neil Crompton, who ducked into the pits after briefly being a race leader. He's now found himself in a very competitive 3rd spot, having made his compulsory stop.
He's already having his best weekend, Cromley, and this is the place of his best ever race round finish. In fact, in the V8 Supercar Championship or in a Touring Car Championship, he finished 3rd here back in 1993. So
he's just been taken by Greg Murphy too, by the look of it. So he's ducked in behind the Kmart car. Murphy now moves up to 2nd. He's been fast all week, the Murph, in the Kmart Commodore. Crompton ducks in behind. He goes back to 4th spot. Now, we hear from race control that officials are going to spoil Crompton's weekend. There's a drive-through penalty being applied to Crompton for that incident where he collided with John Bow early in the race. So Crompton now is going to have to serve a drive-through penalty. Cost him about 22 seconds. That'll put him right out of contention.
Just correct that too. It was actually a 2nd place overall back here at Barbagallo in 93 for Cromley. So, as you say, he's about to get a rude shock when he comes around and has to do 22 seconds worth of 40 kilometres an hour from top to bottom of pit lane. So Greg Murphy comes over the rise. There's Cromley. He's got one light flashing.
Peels off into pit lane. He'll hit the agonisingly slow 40km/h speed limiter. You can see he's got everything locked up, trying to minimise his time loss as he starts that long drive down pit lane.
The race score has Bright, Bernard and Murphy 1, 2 and 3. Then Jones, Morris, Todd Kelly, Mark Scaife, Jason Bargwanna, Garth Tander and Cameron McConville. From the Lansvale Smash Repairs team in 10th position, you can see Seaton in 16th and Max Wilson holding down 20th.
So Jason Bright now, got to get his head down. He's looking very strong for an overall round win here. The way it stands at the moment, he's got the biggest points haul from the day. And that could be the first victory for Jason Bright in season 2002. You hear that Rodney Forbes has also been awarded a penalty.
Oh, Marcus Ambrose gets tangled up with Russell Ingall.
Gave him a big hit on the exit to Cold Turn. And even more elbow to elbow work. The enforcer doing a bit of enforcing here. They're going side by side under brakes down into Nova's turn.
And look at the gap that Paul Radicic is taking a little.